Okay. Distinguished guests, welcome to another episode of Married to Shade.
Hey, y'all.
This is the only black podcast starring the married couple with advanced degrees and remedial money. Not so remedial, but we working on that. We almost there. It's close.
But yet it's so far away.
We got to get over that
I'm
hump.
wondering if constantly saying we have remedial money is keeping us,
So you believe in the secret now? After throwing
Your
shade
mom
at my mom.
does.
So you can go right into it. Okay.
So maybe so.
This creature across from me that I married is my lovely wife, AJ. Say hello, AJ.
Hey.
And this is Feek Blurbin, and we are coming to you courtesy of the Black Astronauts Podcast Network. The Black Astronauts Podcast Network is a network of black podcasts where we provide a variety of different shows with different tones, different subject matter, different talent, different topics. Everything from a little bit of couples and, social commentary that you'll get from us today. We'll definitely be talking about Westworld later on this week. And really everything in between. And we are able to bring this to you all courtesy of the support from our Patreon patrons. We have a Patreon. We appreciate those who support the show, who make all the things we're doing for the show possible. I don't know if some of the new stuff on the horizon will be out by the time this show comes out, or by the time you hear it, obviously. But the things that are in the pipeline, these are the things that are made possible by the support that you all bring to us. So I want to do a shout out to all of our Patreon patrons. That is Nutella is Life, Sadida H, Kenneth H, Justin C from I Do It for Hip Hop Podcast, DeAndre, Veggie Vixen, Ronald B, V Williams, Feeks Beard, Peter H, Pasto Chene, Felt 5, Deloya, Shlonda W, Wonga, Cameron B, Mr. Brent, Simo, Ashley G, Chonilla, Knowledge, Dre, The Disrespectful One, MJ, Donald, Ophelia Ono, Teddy Funk, Charlie Snowflake, and Angela D. Thank you all so much continuing on. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong list. DJ Food and Drink, for Washed Folks, okay. Ariana, Nikki M, Devo G, Willis Dickfit, Shadrach C, Shauna E, Jordan H, Pam M, and Scrum Master Flash. We do have some creative patrons.
I love it.
Yes. Although I think it's time for the Feeks Beard person to maybe,
stick around.
Pick another
Keep it the same.
moniker. So,
You're onto something great. Keep
whatever.
it the same.
Anyway, it's been an eventful 2 weeks. It's been an eventful 24 hours because we didn't have a lot of topics to talk about until early this morning. We had something big come through. And of course, Beyonce. Well, I know we all know you don't like Beyonce.
But that was still...
But before we get into all that, just trying to be a little briefer than maybe we usually are. How was your day? Anything special happening for you, babe?
Well, my brother did a ancestry. Well, not ancestry DNA, whatever the other thing is, or one of the other things.
The other thing was clearly not as good because
there are
I
several
remember
other
these
things
being way better.
Don't hate.
Than what your brother presented to us.
So, anyway, my brother did one of the ancestry test or the DNA test, and he called me tonight to let me know what he got back, which was really cool. I wasn't expecting the call when he actually called, but it was cool to know it. Made it just in time for the show. And so little background. So I'm black. Surprise. Both of my parents identify as African American. For all I know, my father has no reason not to identify as African American. My mother, however, her mother is of Hispanic descent.
Whatever we count Dominican
appropriate?
as.
Is that politically correct? Okay.
I knew this a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
because
I know like
Hispanic and Latino.
Hispanic,
and
Latino.
I forgot.
Yeah,
I haven't
did
had
too.
to.
There was like a BuzzFeed video.
Yeah,
so
I wasn't
educational.
gonna like say that I got it from BuzzFeed.
That's
like
okay.
you.
That's okay. See, I'm real.
Yeah, real.
I don't.
Whack.
Shut up.
But
anyway, so, anyway, my mother's mother is Afro Latina. Yes, that is probably the best way to say it. And then her father is African American. Anyway, today we got the DNA test results back, and I am 66, I think it was, percent African or sub-Saharan African, and they don't do a big drill down in the test that he took on exactly where you're from and all that good stuff. So we'll have to take another one to figure that out. And there are some unassigned percentages. So for any geniuses out there who are about to do the math and be like, but you missing something. You're not a whole person. Like, I am a whole person. For some reason, some stuff was unassigned. Who knows? And I am 29.5% European. And I think that breaks down Irish.
Irish and was it German?
No, Irish and British. No German. So y'all,
nigga, that's just white. Like Irish and British. Don't nobody but them separate that shit.
29.5% of anything other than sub-Saharan African descent or African stuff was a little shocking to me. So even though I know my grandmother is Afro-Latina, my thing is she's Afro. Like my grandmother is, she has brown skin. And really, when you meet her, you see her, you would think she's a black woman, which is perfectly fine by her because that's actually how she identifies, because at the time she married an African American man, interracial couples were not as popular, so she kind of like shifted her identity. Won't go too deep into that. It's funny.
Yeah, that is a funny realization that your grandmother did the opposite of what most basic chicks do today, and that she could fully claim some type of Spanish,
and she went black.
Some type of Spanish.
She went full black.
She went full black for your Negro spiritual looking grandfather. Your grandfather looked like he could grill and preach at the same time.
And he did. He could preach and he could grill. So that was interesting. I wasn't expecting the whole 29.5%, a darn near 30%. I wasn't expecting the unassigned stuff. I don't really know what that means. My brother's going to send me over some paperwork so we can figure that out.
Well, we got to figure out we don't know enough about what Dominican means. Because if your grandmother's Afro-Dominican, that might just mean she had a sub-Saharan slave lineage that happened to begin in the Dominican Republic, because that's kind of how it works.
Yes. So that's why this large percentage of something other than sub-Saharan African is a little surprising. To me,
it's not surprising
because that is I do understand that to be the way it works. So slave ships went multiple places, right? So my thought is,
I think we're overthinking this.
Are we?
Isn't your great grandfather like full-blooded European or some shit? Full-blooded Russian or some bullshit?
No, he's full-blooded. Well, so that's the thing. My grandmother's dad, it's always been iffy. So he spoke German. Mm-hmm. We know that he had family that went by the last name of Malashane, which I think may be like Irish or something. That's some shit you
made up.
I don't know.
That's a fucking villain in Infinity War, nigga.
I don't know. He really was a mysterious man. He spoke several different languages. Traveled extensively. Malashane? Yeah. I don't know. I know they invite my grandmother to family reunions, and they're not black.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this is meaning. Wrong one.
So I don't know. I don't want all this dead air, but yeah. So it was just interesting. It was interesting. So do you still love me now, knowing what I'm made of?
I like before you, I dated nothing but like Africans and like chicks from the islands, but like dark skinned chicks from the islands, and like you dark skinned, but I feel like you lied to me. Like Like, I feel like you faked the funk on me. You come in here with 30% European blood. Like, you brought that into my bloodstream. You know how pure my shit is, son?
I really doubt it. It's as
That means
pure
my
as you
children
think.
are 15% white now. Like, that's your fault.
Is that how it works?
Fuck, I think so.
I don't think that's how it works.
I think we take all your shit and divide it by all my shit and then add it up and see what
so
happens.
it would be way less than 15%.
No, it'd be
though,
so
right?
because I'm 100% not white. Like, I know this. You take your 29%.
this.
You take your 29%, and we divide it in half, and so you get your measly 35% black and your 15% white, and you add it to my pure 50% black, and our kids are now 85% black with 15% European coming from your cloudy blooded ass. Yo, mother.
It's such a oh wow. Wow. I hope you get some back. You never call a person a mutt. But so yeah. So I really don't have other words. I'm not disturbed by it. I think it's, it's not what I expected, but I think it's really cool. It probably will make more sense to me when I'm less tired in the morning. But yeah, that's how I feel about that. So that sums up my day.
Malachane is French, which makes
It's French.
sense.
Okay.
That at least according to this, yeah, it seems to be French, which makes sense since you're New Orleans and y'all are like have the French thing going on there. But yeah, I don't know. It's a mystery. We'll do my blood eventually. I had a less interesting, I guess, day. I pat myself in the back. I turned in what will hopefully be the final copy of my thesis. My thesis proposal. Fuck, I ain't even finished it. I ain't started the thesis yet. My thesis proposal. Put your phone down.
That's the hardest thing to do.
It is the hardest thing to do. I feel like once it's time to write the paper, it'll go pretty quick.
I think it will.
So the little downtime I had today, and I had a little less than I did usual, and yesterday, I spent getting back to writing my smut. So that was fun.
It's good.
I don't know if I mentioned that on the show.
Different revenue streams.
Right.
I don't think you have.
I'm a
Let
smut
'em know,
peddler.
babe.
There's a pretty strong economy on Amazon for those who can provide erotic fiction to, I would say, 16 to 46-year-old women.
16?
I would say it starts.
You're not selling erotic fiction to the kids.
Girls
Not
aren't
to the
masturbating in
kids.
their teens.
I don't know, but I don't think they're buying your books though.
Well, what are they masturbating to? They're not masturbating to porn like guys
Well,
are.
I mean, women have more vivid imaginations,
which
so
is
probably
why
their
fiction
imagination
is kind of like a thing. Like, what do you think Twilight books were
But you
so
know what?
high?
This is okay. So maybe
How do you think
like
50
so
Shades of Grey happened?
When I was younger, you're right. Because when I was younger, there was no Amazon and like all these. You had to go to the bookstore and like get in a line. And if you were gonna buy something, some erotic fiction, like it had to be rung up at a register. And I don't know, are there age limits for things like that? Like, would you have gotten any pushback, or would you have just been able to like buy it and get
You
out of
probably
the
could have
store?
bought it at a store. Now, Amazon does have limitations in terms of like who's able to buy what, but as long as like you don't have the ironic thing is that you can put some of the most raunchy, like nasty stuff, but as long as you don't put X-rated in the like description, it can be sold alongside regular books. I have a
So
story.
I'm thinking, as a parent,
I don't want to describe my stories too
Dude,
much. I don't want people to
think you
figure it out.
It's not that kind of show. So my thing is, as a parent, am I wanting people to put X-rated now? I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
I just assumed
but
that
like
because it was adult content, not like the most adult content. Because you're right, like little like probably 16 to whatever was the age range for like Twilight and stuff like that, right? Yeah. But I don't know. I didn't think about that. I didn't think that there's no what is it, NC-17? What do you put on albums? Do they still put do people
parental
buy
advisory
CDs?
No, not
Now
really.
I'm going down a wormhole of
Yeah.
like what kids do now versus what kids did when I was a kid.
Yeah, no,
It's
it's
such a
I'm not sure what it is. Either way, I felt good. I really do like writing the really trashy, often awful stuff I write. I don't know what it is, but it's so much fun. Like whenever
But you do enjoy it.
I do enjoy. Whenever I find that like great, like there's something about writing. I think it's not. It doesn't have to be smut because I've written other things that were not smut that also gave me this feeling. But it's easier to do it with smut. When you find that great narrative through line, you're like, oh, this is gonna line up here. This is gonna line up here.
If perchance this gets to any of your supporters, the folks who download and buy your book, like I feel like you probably have the most intellectually charged smut.
It's not intellectual
because you create worlds. And so, like,
no, that one hasn't dropped yet. I've been working on that one for years.
Oh, okay.
My outer space Game of Thrones erotic epic. No, it hasn't. And you're laughing.
Wait for it.
That is what it is, and it's gonna make us fucking rich.
It's so ridiculous, but yet it may. It really may.
Yeah,
it's so complex.
I have a sci-fi erotic epic.
There are worlds
that is inspired
and
by
species,
and it's so fun. It's fun.
It's
I don't know.
So detailed. It's every element of it is thought out. You can really get lost in this world, and maybe people will. So you may be right. It may be articulate
until the guys with two penises show up, and then it's like,
okay, stop. Okay, next. It's not that kind of show. You're not bringing us there. Okay.
What type of show is it? So we have a couple of topics. They're kind of disparate. No, I guess the last. Well, we'll jump into the. Well, all of them are kind of heavy, but I guess the semi-heavy but not as connected one. Talk about some of the things we've been watching recently. We watched. It is a Tuesday night, and we watched Blackish, and it left a bad taste in our mouth. Did it leave a bad taste in your mouth? It left one in my mouth. And not for the right reasons I think it wanted to. I'm just there's probably a lot to say. Go ahead, babe.
So I'm a little conflicted. So if this is if you don't know, if you haven't watched Blackish, this week's episode, all of a sudden, Dre and Rainbow are having marital issues, right? And they're deep. They're really,
making a sad face on the screen.
Yeah, like it's rough. It's not like a little dig here or there, but it's so their marriage and their connection with each other is so off that they're already in couples therapy. So it went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Then they gave us the fake out at the end. Spoiler alert: the baby walks. Which is another narrative through line that hadn't been touched on all season.
I was like, how old is the kid? And obviously he's over a year.
Right.
Is what we find out because the show starts at a birthday party. But either way, so this is what I'll say. If this was just like an idea thrown out at the writers' meeting and they decided, let's go with it, then I'm disappointed.
That's whack.
Because it just came out of nowhere and the characters weren't developed appropriately for
further with it. In the next episode. The preview for the next episode was even more sad face.
That leads me to believe, so I've heard that is it Kenya Barris?
I believe.
So I believe he is shopping the show around. And I don't know how this works because I don't know if I'm assuming if he's shopping it around, then you can sell a show multiple times. So as long as maybe he gets a release from ABC, he can take Blackish as is and transfer it to another major network or some other outlet.
I think so.
And so, so he's shopping it around. And so my gut is that this is not just a storyline, that he's too good of a writer. They have such a good writing team that the writing team would see the glaring issues
sabotaging shit
with this. So they're sabotaging it and they're going to work up to a divorce so they can bring it to a close under the ABC umbrella to then do something else somewhere else.
That's still fucking awful.
Well, I mean,
so as the writer in the room, let me speak to
the smut writer in the room.
The flaws, narratively speaking, of what happened.
Because we all know that smut is like beautiful.
It's not, but it can be. There can be. There's no reason, like just because characters are fucking in between, like narrative, in between story beats, doesn't mean that the story itself can't be effective and sound. Get Out is a horror movie, right? So like the last 30 minutes of Get Out are him beating a white family to death with household items.
We need to see that again.
Yeah, it's great. But the story beats before, during, and after make the movie, narratively speaking, like immaculate.
Yeah, it was really good.
But
Okay, so
I'm
tell
not
us what the
defending my
problems
smut.
are.
So, but here's the problem. It's a problem of tone. Now, Blackish has two tones. It has goofy family dynamics tone, and it has ministering to white people about blackness tone. And neither of those tones are overly serious at any point in time. There's sometimes some like heaviness in, the ugly subject matter that's explained about the black experience. But for the most part, they take a lighthearted angle on everything. Like, they had the story about, I think they had like a police shooting story, and then they went out and protested. But even that was like, they played hip hop in the background and shit. It was like, cool, we're going to protest. Part of what black people do, yeah. This and then the problem. So both Bo and Dre in the show, that's Anthony Anderson is Dre. For those who don't watch it, I don't know if you can listen to our show and not watch it. Like, who are you?
Yeah.
If you actually listen to our show and
worried.
aren't like interested in Blackish, I just seem weird. So Bo Rainbow is right. He's finally getting into his smut. I knew it.
Knew it was him.
So Rainbow is, I can't remember her name. She's like the ultimate black MILF.
Ellis Ross.
Even though she doesn't have any kids.
She doesn't have any kids.
Yeah, Tracy Ellis Ross and Anthony Anderson are Rainbow and Andre. So in the show, Andre is a man child and Rainbow is neurotic and insecure. And both of them present major flaws as possible partners because of those characteristics. Rainbow probably a lot less than Andre, but that's also because the show is really about Andre from Andre's perspective.
Correct.
And he has to kind of carry the burden of the comedic well to pull from. So he has a lot more flaws than Rainbow.
Correct.
But these flaws are always treated as in an unrealistic way for comedic effect.
Yes.
Right.
So they say and do ridiculous things or things that would be jarring to
A
your
normal
partner
person
in real life, but it's because they need a punchline. They need
Exactly.
a joke. They need a moment.
Exactly. And so all these awful, ridiculous things that have happened between the two, they've never actually had a real version of the conversation that would come after. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
So all of a sudden,
now those things are bothering
yeah, and it's just like really fucking jarring. It's like, why are you all being so mean to each other? You guys both are kind of trash.
So the show,
and that's the end result, is now they both seem really trash.
Yeah, because the show has done a wonderful job of dealing with some really heavy issues in a very light, easy to take in manner, right? And so now the tone is like really, really dark. The lighting even on the set, like you have, like, they have children's rooms that are really like full of neon colors, and their house is really colorful and fresh.
We didn't see any of them shits.
And sunny most of the time. And
we didn't even get a resolution to the
time,
children's little sub narrative this time.
Yeah, that's
around.
true. This time they usually give resolutions to everything, but this time it was really dark. The lighting was dark. The music was somber and dark.
It was
it was
a very special episode.
Yeah, it was a very different show. It was very scandal-esque. Not in writing quality, even though obviously we have some issues because, like we said, they're taking traits in the characters that were used for narrative and comedic value, and now turning them into something they weren't, and it's really off-putting. But it had the scandal tone and like the serious
darkness,
music and like
and much like Scandal, it's hard to take the show serious based on the premise the show gave you for the first, in this case, 3 seasons?
Yeah.
So we get this.
So I'm just scared we're losing it. Like, I'm scared that, like I said, my gut is he's trying to shop it around, and for whatever the reason, he has to give the show itself some kind of resolution or some end for the purposes of ABC.
So I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case.
Or all the writers just became trash, or they kicked everybody out of the writing room.
I think somebody just jumped the shark. It happens a lot in shows.
Oh my goodness! But they were so good for so long. But maybe that is, maybe it was inevitable, right?
I mean,
'Cause
so
you can't be good.
So there's
on
one
the level
thing.
that they were good forever.
And here's the thing to think about. Although the depth of the black experience is infinite, the amount of things that about the black experience that you can build a 30-minute sitcom around is probably kind of limited.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Like they in 4 years they've touched on almost like what haven't they touched yet?
I mean, I don't know. So I have the worst memory ever. So I'm not going to even try to go back down memory lane and remember what they touched and what they may have not touched. But I feel like being black in every space is different than being in any space as any other thing. Meaning,
I agree.
I was watching something, I don't know, and a person, I think it was The View, actually, and Whoopi Goldberg was describing how she has like 4 sets of ears, right? So she hears what people say, and then like in her blackness, or using the lens of an African American, she has to then process what they're saying to make sure there isn't any embedded prejudice and racism, whatever. So I think for that reason, there are a lot of things that they can deal with, because everyday things like going to the freaking grocery store.
See, but though
is different.
It has to be
when you're an African American.
It has to be something that they can congeal into a 30-minute episode.
But I think that's
with
where
that
good
thing
writing
being the
comes
punchline.
into play.
I mean, it is.
Like
I think
they've congealed a lot of really, like I said,
they could have done
deep
it.
stuff in 30-minute episodes, and then they do it with some comedic relief. I mean, very talented people. So it's
So yeah, and
really
maybe we'll be
sucks
proved
that
completely wrong next week. I don't know.
Maybe there's something greater.
Something
to
maybe
it.
is coming up.
Maybe there's a big
but
joke
what we
at the
saw
end.
today was disheartening. What made it seem worse is the show that we're both very much enjoying that comes on after Blackish now, which is Splitting Up Together, I think is the name of it.
Yeah. So wait, what you said? What makes it worse? That's what makes it better. I look forward to now seeing that after Blackish.
So meaning that the Blackish episode today, them trying to tackle the complexity of a broken relationship, seems worse juxtaposed a show built around that concept that really kind of like hits some stuff.
So I love Splitting Up Together. I think that's what we're gonna say it's called. Hopefully,
that's the name of it from now.
So if you're not familiar with that show, we don't frown on you because it's new. It's about 4 episodes in now.
There's not a single black person in it so far.
Not a single black person, but it's still a great show. We're gonna get into it, but really quickly, the premise of the show is couple recently divorced. They decide to stay in the same home because they're underwater in their house and neither of them can leave. So they take turns living in the main house versus the garage to raise their children, and all the drama and comedy that happens around that, right? So thus far, we've learned really quickly that the husband had been oblivious to some of the wife's needs, or his ex-wife, because they're already divorced.
Well, it was revealed. It was revealed tonight. So one of the big.
We know from the beginning that he's been oblivious. So one of the things he didn't do is like dance at their wedding, right? So every couple dances. You look forward to your first dance. Well, he didn't dance, and he didn't think it was that serious for her, which is crazy because that's, it's the thing you do at your wedding, right? Any woman who's going to go through the planning process of a wedding probably is a woman who's given to making sure they check all those like moment boxes off.
Right.
So he didn't participate in the moment. And after the divorce, he realizes via a friend that he's missed so many moments, and he decides that he's going to put in work to create those moments to hopefully get back in her heart. And he starts to put in work. Go ahead.
Meanwhile, the wife is caricature of the nagging, high-strung wife turned up to 11 who just can't like sit still or chill or, calm down on any level. And so they make a very typical depiction of a couple in conflict. So you have this aloof, cool dad and the micromanaging, on a schedule hot mom. But except they're already divorced. And it's like, so instead of looking at them and saying, ooh, how are you guys making it? They say, you know what? No, this just clearly wasn't going to work.
So,
okay,
I'm Jewish. It's true.
How much of you is Jewish?
I'm 4.2%.
So the last percent
Jewish.
of Anglo in you is
I'm
Jewish. I'm a sugar a woman, you. Anyway,
this is ridiculous.
so going back to the show. I hope that word isn't like really offensive.
I don't know. We need to put that at the beginning of the show.
So anyway, so I like this show because it exaggerates a lot of things about difficulties in relationships. We've had difficulties. I think everybody that's been in a relationship for more than 6 months has ran into some ugliness. And when you're with somebody for like years, we're going on a decade and a half. How does it make you feel?
You know, I could say time goes fast when you're having fun.
13 years. She had
But
2 of your kids.
I feel more inclined to say, where did the time go?
Right.
Just wasted my life.
Of course.
Just
So, you hear
can't
stuff
get it back.
when you're with somebody for a long time like that. And I think that if there's one lesson we could impart, or one at least I've told to you, you don't listen though, is that people are inherently flawed. And when you're with somebody for over a decade, those flaws become like zones that you're going to have to pass in and out of.
like zones?
Yeah, like a zone, like a military
sport?
like a military zone. You're in North Korea or South Korea.
Oh, the militarized zone.
And then you got to go through the militarized zone to get to North Korea.
People don't go through the militarized
Whatever.
zone. They die.
Okay, well,
Word to the wise.
I'm sure this makes sense on some
streets.
level. But the point is, when you're in that zone, shit is real and shit is scary and shit is frustrating. But you pass through it. And you have to kind of accept that. But at the same time, I guess people sometimes get to a point where that zone is the other things that surround that zone are no longer enough to let you ignore it effectively or to process it effectively. I don't know how to really explain it. In the show,
I think in finding a partner, you have to find someone whose flaws, zones, whatever, whose quirks just don't offend as much as they offend. Does that make sense?
See,
so
I don't
feel
know.
like,
because they might offend more after you've experienced them enough.
Well, that's what the dating process is for, right?
Nah, because you don't know how it might feel to something might seem annoying while you're dating, and it might seem highly irritating in the first 3-4 years honeymoon phase of marriage. Part of being an adult
is realizing that if it's annoying while you're dating, if you're going to spend the rest of your life with this person, it's not going to get less annoying.
That is
true. That's probably a no-go.
Well, and that's the thing I think people don't understand about long-term relationships. We've known I don't know that people
don't understand it, but I think that this show is really good because you see him now trying to put in work. And
which
you
is
see a woman. So I don't know if we've seen a woman in a show like this be as checked out and over it as right now she's being written.
So the cool dichotomy between these two characters is that he pretty much immediately
realizes that he lost something good.
No, it's not even.
Or realizes that he misses
that it's
something.
His fault.
Okay, yeah.
The key thing he realizes that it's his fault, and so because he feels like it's his fault, he seeks to correct some of those issues, and in that process thinks maybe I should give this another shot. She is immediately like, I need some dick. I need.
Yeah.
I think did it happen in the first episode? She mentioned that.
Well, she mentioned that. Since
so she mentions that they haven't had sex in 2 years, which to me is astounding.
Ridiculous.
It's a little too much. I
feel like, how did you make it through 2 years?
Yeah.
What made you think?
What made
after
him
year one?
Right.
Maybe we could do
after
this.
Month 6,
we can push through. Yeah, I mean, like it's just ridiculous,
and it's made clear that it was
these are not
his.
people with toddlers or like little
Right.
bitty kids.
These are people with kids
with,
that
like,
are old enough to
kids.
send them into another
Yeah.
room and lock the door.
Yeah.
And fuck. And it's made clear that it was his. Like it's because of him that they haven't had sex. Which all toxic masculinity, patriarchal aside, is. It's not unrealistic because I know there's a lot of women dealing with sexist marriages where it's not their decision, but it's odd that he would be so oblivious to that being a problem.
Yeah, because he hasn't mentioned it.
Well, he mentioned it today, and even in mentioning it today, it was like a realization, like, I guess I wasn't interested. It's like, motherfucker, you.
Yeah, for 2 years.
2 years,
It's
son?
really it's
Y'all
really
have
weird.
a conversation?
But so this.
But
is
it makes
the
good
thing.
drama,
When
though.
you have it makes excellent drama. But I'm a little worried that the show won't be able to go on for too long because a breakup is all about the transferring of energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like you want to get all the hurt and the whatever angst you feel about the breakup and transfer it to the other person. Because then you feel better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like an argument. Like you want to leave on top.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, no, that's how you do it, actually.
Well, that's how you should
Oh,
do
man,
it.
we should tell some stories about
That's how you
our
should do it.
air quotes breakups and all of your master
leave on
plans.
Top. You should leave on top. Like put all the negative energy in their space and then like slam the door and leave it there, right? And be joyful if you skip away. So like that's how you should do it, right? And I feel like they can only do that for so long and it remained interesting. So right now it's really, really compelling, but I don't know if it'll continue that way. I'm worried that the show will shit itself really soon.
We're also very critical, if y'all can't tell. We're very critical of our shows. Part of that is my fault just because, as I've mentioned before, I am a storyteller. And when stories break down, and if y'all listen to other shows, y'all have heard me shit on stuff that everybody else like. Sometimes it's nitpicking, but most of the time it's legit reasons. But that said, speaking of things we can't nitpick, Beyonce changed the world again this past weekend. And we're just kind of here in the wake of what this all means. So those who...
I had someone in our age group tell me, a good friend of ours, be like, I would go to Coachella. I'm sorry, just a moment away from Beyonce. And I was like, yeah, no. Maybe the younger me as I look through the fashions of Coachella, because it's sort of what people say Halloween is, which is a reason for you to be like half naked,
right?
In public. And some people killed it. Like I saw Tiana Taylor and several other people dress ridiculously, but like
hot.
Yes.
Dope.
Like so ready for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or so here for it. But yeah, I was like, if I went to Coachella, I feel like it would be like a meme or something because I'm a mom and I have a mom bod. And
when you...
yeah, it just wouldn't be appropriate. So I was like, why is this person telling me they would go to Coachella? So that's just a random thought. But
so I don't want to talk about her performance per se because I didn't watch it. I'm sorry, y'all. I just don't. I don't.
Well,
care
I
enough.
did.
You did.
I did because I'm
and
a better
it was
person,
great,
and I want to make sure
according to you,
that we are in good with the
standing
Beehive.
with the Beehive. But what I really
Bay is it Bay or B?
I don't know. We're
Beyonce,
again showing our
so it'd
age.
Be Beehive.
Right,
and they're
Ray.
bees.
Let me know next time
So
we
why
talk
would
if
it
it's
be
Beehive or Beehive.
Beehive? No, it's like Old Bay season. Like I don't know what you're confusing it with, but it's not. It's not Beehive.
But here's the thing that's interesting. So now, as of today, you're starting to see comparisons, not like it's Beyonce, the Michael Jackson of our time, which I think is pretty much a resounding yes.
Yeah.
But is Beyonce better than Michael Jackson?
So I'm going to say yes.
Oh, really?
Yep. Quick yes. Yes for me.
Is this
only
because of the child molestation stuff?
Because I am. So just like you played up the fact that we're a little old nowadays. I am too young to have experienced Michael firsthand. Like I didn't go to any Michael concerts. Well, not like I knew Michael's music, but I didn't go to any Michael concerts.
Yeah, but you ain't went to any Beyonce concerts. So I've
seen Beyonce once. I've actually seen Beyonce once.
But that's not like. But you probably didn't even like her at the time.
But it isn't. It doesn't. That, oh, it doesn't. None of that matters.
I think you're just trying to suck up to the Beyonce.
For my point. No, she's like really, really talented, and she does things like her performance. So Michael was rather gimmicky. Like, you know, he had the moonwalk and he did like crazy pyrotechnics when people weren't doing pyrotechnics. Hell, he changed his skin color. You know, like Michael was gimmicky, you know, but he was also very,
skin color was a gimmick.
I mean, it could be. So he was also very talented. Right. And so, I mean, Michael is Michael, and Michael will always be Michael. And there are Michael songs that I love, that I want my children to love, and hopefully generations beyond them will also love. However, Beyonce is pure talent. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, you know, what the draw for her Coachella performance was the fact that she had 150 plus dancers on stage in sync, no one missing a beat, and a band that like sound amazing behind her throughout the whole thing. And so some could argue that is like, maybe is that gimmicky? I don't know. But I just think she is amazing to do what she does, to captivate people for as long as she did. It was just impressive. It was just bomb.
So are we talking? So we have to operationalize this. Overall, in general, I don't think Beyonce is over Michael Jackson. I think she has a significant way to go. Now, maybe in another decade, this type of dominance and presence in like music and pop media it'll become, you know, much more arguable. But right now, no. Overall, as a performer, I guess it's arguable. Michael has some really big performances, but you know, it does feel like Beyonce's performance game is a little bit stronger. But it's also a difference in saturation. Like we didn't get exposed to Michael's performances as much as we got to Beyonce's.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Beyonce also has the benefit of social media and mass media with which to grow her visual presence. You know, she did for a while. She would do a video for every song on her album, right?
She has different tools at her disposal,
right? So
it's not a apples to apples type comparison,
right? Just
because of the tools and technology and all that kind of stuff. But I don't fault people for making the comparison because she is just that talented. And that perfectly packaged, because now I'm kind of gonna double speak, right? So Beyonce can sing, of course,
right?
But there are so many other singers who have come and gone, right? Who sing better than Beyonce. I won't say way better than Beyonce, but sing better than Beyonce. Like the Jennifer Hudsons, and you know, like, I mean, they're they're just people. They're people who sing better than Beyonce. I'm sure everyone can name a few.
Correct.
But Beyonce is just perfectly packaged. She is the perfect percentage of everything necessary to make a pop star.
It's more and more plausible that she is some type of lizard.
I agree.
Because she's so good at all the things.
I think we've missed the mark with the whole Illuminati
thing. It's not Illuminati. She's a lizard. She's one of the lizard people.
She's just straight something different.
But bringing it back, and then I want to jump into something semi-Beyonce related. If we just talk about the music, I went and searched the top hits of Michael Jackson, and I decided I was gonna go. I was gonna say it in my head. My plan in my head was to say Beyonce's best song is not better than Michael Jackson's like medium best song.
But what is Beyonce's best song?
And there's a problem. Beyonce's songs are not spectacular. She has some hits, Single Ladies.
You may have got it. You may have got me.
I feel like Single Ladies is her biggest, like, most, like,
so there's several
hit.
Popular Beyonce songs, obviously, right? She's Beyonce, but I don't know what her best song would be. But then I'm not, you know what? So I'm full disclosure. I'm probably not the best. I'm not the best person to have this discussion.
So, but no, I feel like, and I'm going to challenge. I don't know if Ray's going to listen to the show in time, but like, and I don't know. Ray is probably not going to argue this too tough. But I feel like you can't think of Beyonce's best song because it's difficult to think of what her best song might be.
Or maybe
it's hard
maybe
it's hard
maybe
to
in
think of
Beyonce's defense. Maybe it's just that she's had so many songs.
No, that's Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson has so many.
She's had a lot of songs. Beyonce has had a lot of songs she's had a lot of songs that have been powerful to me. But also Beyonce became Beyonce, right? And departed from Destiny's Child right as I became like an adult, or maybe like in the latter part of my teens years. Right? Maybe right as I was entering college. So she's made the soundtrack to my womanhood, to my adulting. And so, and I think many of my peers would feel that way. So it's hard for me to say like what's Beyonce's best song, because her songs correlate back to different experiences I've had, and it's like, okay, well, what's the best moment of my life?
See, but so I know, because like Michael Jackson, you don't have that at all. That's an enhancement. But if I put Want to Be Starting Something on, exactly. See, there you go. Immediately. And like, aside from Single Ladies and my favorite Beyonce song of all time, so
I feel like our children will be able to. Gosh, you first the Bay Hive, now your favorite song. Stop it. My thing is, I think our children will be able to say what Beyonce's best song is. I know. First of all, there are women out there who would have answered that question without any hesitation.
So they might have. In their heart
they might know Beyonce's best song. But I think our children will know. The reason why it may be easier for me to answer that question, about Michael, is because I am simply appraising Michael's music without his music really being connected to any great moments in my life other than like my childhood.
Well, no, you're praising it on how good some of his hits are. So that's what I'm saying.
So right now I'm too deep in with Beyonce, and I'm not even all that deep in. Like, I'm still where I can get air. Some people are like, have just drowned, have just submerged themselves in Beyonce's greatness, or submersed. I don't know.
Submerged, you were right.
Okay.
Here's the best way to recognize it. What's the best song on her last album?
So the last album was Lemonade, right?
Lemonade, yes.
Gosh, but that was a work of art. So okay,
yeah,
so
it was a work of art.
That album was a work of art.
It was an amazing album.
That album
what's the best song on it?
That album was a work of art.
All of those songs are sevens.
So that, because it was a work of art, it's like saying what was the best part of a picture. Like what's the best
song
Picasso?
On
like what corner do you like best? It was a comprehensive work of art. You can't pick apart the art like that.
What was the best song on the album before that?
What was the album before that?
Just Beyonce. It had Bow Down Bitches, Bow Down Bitches,
okay.
And Drunken Love, which is probably what you're gonna end up saying. My favorite song on it was Superpower.
It was I'm still thinking Lemonade.
Yeah.
But that's my point. But you can't make that point with me. I'm not equipped.
I can't make it with you.
I can only hold the Beehive down, but for so much.
Yeah, because I'm a bigger fan of hers than you are.
I'm not a card-carrying member, but I know in my heart, in my better judgment, that you're wrong. And so I just want to say
you don't have the proof,
and I want to go on record for the Beehive of saying that you're wrong. But let's talk about the performance a little bit, because I did see it.
Right.
And so, I saw the band. Well, I didn't watch all 2 hours, right?
Yeah, that's not happening.
So I saw the beginning of it, and then I saw highlights. And I saw the marching band and, her performing kind of on the bleachers, and her girls dressed like dancing dolls. Is it dance? No, it's what
all the different
What are the
Bubbling
little girls?
brown sugar?
No, but like Southern. I never saw them. That's Morris Brown,
wow,
right?
you really didn't, huh?
Yeah, so I don't know.
Shit.
No, nobody's better than Southern. Like
Fuck
once
that.
we get off of this podcast, I will show you videos. There's a girl who was like the captain of Southern's dance team for like way too long, but it was so appropriate because she like killed it. And I think they're like the doll something.
I don't know. But the point is,
anyway, so she had her dancers dressed up like dance team members that you would see in the, leading in front of the band at any HBCU. She sung "Lift Every Voice and Sing," which I thought was really, really cool. Not just quite honestly, not the best version, rendition of the song. Yeah, rendition. Thank you. But it was still good. Just a very black performance. And that is something that is also the beauty of Beyonce in this new space, is that she gives us a lot of black girl magic, black goodness. But it's so funny because it doesn't seem to offend or even resonate, or like it's like her non-black audience. I don't even think they pick it up as such. Like I saw
yeah. I mean, definitely there's a lot of. So the thing Beyonce's greatest element is how unapologetically black she is, out loud and on purpose.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
It was really good. The crest, the school crest with like I think it was like maybe her initials or something like that. So fly. Yeah. Her wardrobe was very, very fly. And so I'm sure there'll be like mock or like, so I'm sure somebody will create like their own sorority or whatever around like
one of my former coworkers already made a t-shirt.
Really?
Yeah, she's a hustler. She has one of them. I don't know.
I'm sure it's bomb.
What they are, but she has one of them t-shirts machines. Yeah, so I want that to segue us into some real
sorority drama.
Some
people who may not be wearing anybody's shirts. I wonder how that's gonna work out. So if you are not familiar, because this is still like very new.
I don't think this is fully hit outside of Georgia
I think it's very new. Give me what's the HBCU? Can't think.
Fort Valley State.
Thank you. Fort Valley State. This is not a good night to be a Fort Valley State alum, right? You're not sleeping comfortably tonight. You're not really proud of
you might be fine. Because it's really not a good night to be a AKA? Fort Valley State AKA.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like you might get your letter snatched.
Maybe. Hopefully not for your sake, girl. Pray,
but
girl.
Like they might snatch a good decade worth of letters.
Oh, that would be so ugly. I remember when I was exposed. So I'm not Greek. But I remember when the sorority sister show came out.
That shit was awful.
And like everybody, they gonna get their letter snatched and all that kind of stuff.
I'm like,
is that a real thing? I thought it was a joke. I'm like, you can't snatch nobody's letter. They did that. Those girls do not exist. Their names have been wiped from every book. They don't even have social media, I don't think. Yeah. Anyway, so
I still don't know what the fuck they were thinking.
Fort Valley.
But I also don't know what the fuck this person was thinking. I'm sorry.
What's going on?
Sorry.
Let me tell them. So at Fort Valley State, the president's secretary.
Is it the president's secretary?
Allegedly.
That's even worse.
Is that what you're saying? Maybe I have to say
I was about
allegedly.
to say these are so there's an ongoing investigation.
An ongoing investigation.
And a lot of what we're sharing now is not confirmed.
Correct. What is confirmed by news outlets is that a school official was arrested, and there's an ongoing investigation about fraud, and there's another word they use.
Coercion, exploitation, sex trafficking.
It was another less
racketeering,
salacious kind of scandalous word. No, it was like a fraud, and maybe it started with a D. I can't think of it. But anyway, so we know a school official was arrested. Here's the word on the street. The word on the street is the school official that was arrested, or the faculty administrative team member, or whatever, that was arrested.
Whatever the person was
the secretary of the president. And the secretary of the president was allowing future and recently crossed.
and
well, no,
and setting
she was housing young ladies who were in the process of pledging Alpha Kappa Alpha and who had recently crossed the sorority, and what they were doing in return was being exploited to get money to be able to pledge the organization and then also get money on her behalf. So basically she was like a madam.
Yeah.
Is the thing. She was a madam whose target whose target worker
whose workers were college age
aspiring sorority girls or sorority girls.
And whose clientele were powerful men in Fort Valley, Georgia
area.
I don't know much about Fort Valley. I imagine we're not talking about
school
a ton
officials.
Of people.
I've heard we're talking the mayor.
Right, pastors.
We're talking pastors. So it's really scandalous. And supposedly, according to folks who are either Fort Valley alum or current Fort Valley employees or students, the reason it was able to go on for so long because the investigation has been going on for years. We do know that was confirmed by news outlets that they have been investigating whoever they've arrested for whatever the reason for several years.
Wow.
And so the reason why this is now the rumors, the reason why it went on for so long is because the secretary supposedly has a romantic relationship with the president, which is why the president did not.
So that's new to me. Where'd you get that
turn
one from?
a blind eye. So y'all know how social media works. So somebody,
I love the thought face you just made when you were about to go into your tea.
So somebody, I'm about to go full Cardi B. Somebody posted, some Fort Valley State person that I don't even know was having a conversation. This is why you have to be careful what you post on Facebook. Because let me tell you how I found this conversation. So he woke up. Oh, sorry.
Let me mark the time real quick. 56. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Feek Bourbon woke up. What am I supposed to say?
You have to say my whole name.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mark the time.
Go ahead.
Feek woke up and said, do you see all this Fort Valley stuff on your timeline? So because I'm not Greek, it did not hit my timeline this morning. So when I had downtime in the car, I was like, let me let me search via Facebook Fort Valley State. And so of course the schools page came up and some other official things. And as I scrolled down, I found somebody posting like big eyes and like, oh, y'all know what's going on kind of thing. So I was like, let me click on their post.
Right.
So I clicked on their post and it seemed like the person was an alum. And then one of the people in the chain of the conversation posted a screenshot of several text messages they received and put, but you didn't get this from me. Which is so crazy.
And now that shit's on the podcast.
So then I saved it, right?
We have tens of thousands of listeners a month.
I literally saved this person's screenshots of text messages to my phone. And I chuckled because I'm like, girl, like you don't even know what you just did. So in her text messages, it had the whole breakdown. Like, so she's messing with the president. And so that's why the president didn't say anything some years ago. And so da-da-da-da. So it gave like the whole rundown.
And I've heard from several different sources that this has been going on for years as well. So let's salacious comedy aside for a second. Let's address the ugliness here. So I used to work for anti-sex trafficking.
That's why we have remedial money. No,
I used to work. I was making less money while you were talking at an anti-sex trafficking organization. So I'm pretty well versed on the realities of that world and what happens, why girls get into it, why girls get out of it, why girls fail to get out, who's targeted, etc. So first, let's address like some of the ugly stuff that you'll probably hear. Like immediately, there are a lot of people blaming the girls, calling them stupid, saying it's their fault for letting themselves be exploited like that, and yada yada yada. And that is really fucked up and untrue. So these were adult women, and they were not forced per se. They were not like physically pushed upon, physically like.
But their desire. So the interesting thing is, I wonder if this woman or this person was a member of the organization, because I
feel like she had to be.
Yeah, only a member of the organization could exploit someone's desire to be a part in such a horrible way.
Right.
I feel like if you had no attachment to Greek life, then I don't think you could get these young women who were adults to behave in the way that she, got them to behave.
So that brings up an important point to understand. This is a crime. This is a criminal enterprise that this woman, if this is true, this woman was running a criminal enterprise because she was using coercion to convince girls to sell their bodies for monetary gain, even if the girls agreed, even if they had quote unquote agency in the process.
That's true.
They were coerced.
I mean, and then she was also a person of power at the school.
And that's what makes it coercion.
So yeah,
and in the sorority.
Is when you are, what level of accountability or responsibility for the potential members does the organization, or better yet, the leaders of the chapter and the goings on at that particular campus have to the girls? Because my thing is, okay,
what level of what?
Is anyone investigating and checking to make sure that
something like this isn't happening?
That this isn't happening, that the people who are going through this process aren't being exploited, that the young ladies who have to pay to be members of this organization are getting the money or are getting the funds,
and that's where, so
good, I don't know if there's a good way, but is anybody checking on these things?
And so that's where all of the Greek organizations are probably going to feel it, and which is, we treat the air quotes pledge process very haphazardly, and that this probably could have been going on, and many of the girls could be completely unaware that it was happening because of how the pledge process is designed. You're kind of put in a position where, look, if you want this sorority bad enough, you figure it out.
So nobody asked, how are you getting the money?
It might have been asked, but it might have been not. It likely was not asked. It was just seen as
for their case,
a person fighting and wanting hard enough to get the money. I have frat brothers that paid for their dues through parents, through refund checks, through borrowing money from a frat brother who's using their refund check.
I mean, I don't frown upon any of that,
selling
especially
things.
If it's something you really want to do. But I feel like, and I don't know, what the process should be.
Right.
But I feel like they're the people guiding you through this process, the people extending membership to you, with the expectation that you will successfully become a member, should have some sort of responsibility or accountability to you, like you
but here's the problem.
Accountable to the organization.
So the organization is only as strong as its members. So if its members, so let me backtrack a little bit about the coercion and why these girls shouldn't be looked at as like villains and whatever, and they're definitely victims in the situation. So Fort Valley State is and it's no shade to anybody that's listening. Hopefully, you don't take this the wrong way. But Fort Valley State is one of the lower tier HBCUs. It's probably
I don't know if we have to go there.
I say that to say
I don't like to.
Okay, well, what I'm trying to get to is that Fort Valley State is not going to attract the children of the black elite. Denzel Washington's son isn't going to Fort Valley State. Rudy from from Cosby Show, so on and so forth. Fort Valley State is going to get a lot of the kids I used to teach. These are smart kids, don't get me wrong, but kids who are marginal on the college level because either they didn't come from quality high school, public school backgrounds, or they don't have the money, or both. And so
I'm
these,
to be honest, I haven't done any research on Fort Valley and who goes there, and I don't know.
Which is maybe why you should not interrupt me, because I kind of know this stuff.
Make sure people don't think I'm co-signing you dragging their school. I mean, it's already ugly, so I'm just not gonna. I'm not trying to drag
their school. I'm just saying that the experience that their students are coming from are on a lot of ways going to be similar to other HBCUs, because every HBCU has kids that are kind of like dream chasers in terms of like the challenges they're going to face going into college. But Fort Valley has, like a lot of HBCUs, has more. And so I say all that to say, if these were girls that wanted to join the sorority and didn't have the money, they probably really didn't have the money. They probably had they're more likely to have had backgrounds where something like exploitation wasn't so far removed from their possibilities, because exploitation isn't about moral character and fiber for most women that end up in it. It's usually about opportunity structure and environment. And so if you are poor and lacking economic options, then self-exploitation becomes a viable option. So and then you think about so let's take all that away. Motherfuckers is getting it in college. People are getting it in. Mm-hmm. Like there's girls who have done more. There's girls that had sugar daddies in college that didn't do it for a sorority. There's girls that are on tape in college just for fun. We both know a girl that did a porno, mm-hmm. and I don't know what her logic was behind doing it.
She's saved now, so I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, well, either way. So it's really not so crazy. Like, there's no reason in my mind to really get ugly towards the girls who are the victims here, because they're not doing anything beyond the pale for where they're at, meaning young girls in college getting it in.
Yeah, I mean, well, we need more information. Yeah, I don't think anybody should vilify the girls. I mean, they want to be part of an organization, a very well-respected organization. I definitely am not going to drag the organization by any means. It's a fair desire to have. It's a desire shared by several young ladies across several schools, not just HBCUs for this particular organization.
That chapter is never coming back.
I think, they probably in a very college way thought, if this is the means to my end, which is getting the funds necessary to be in this organization, and if this person is affiliated with the organization, which is what my gut tells me, then I get why they could be convinced and why it would make sense, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're young, you do things that are not the safest, that are ill-advised, that are just straight dumb, but they make sense to you because your frontal cortex,
prefrontal cortex,
whatever, is not fully developed.
Risky sexual behavior is a part of the college experience.
Yeah, I don't think, and they probably thought they were engaging in nothing more than what you normally do. Right. I mean, their clients or customers were high profile, but like you said, it's college and dating all sorts of people, hooking up with all sorts of people is something people do regardless of any organization they want to be affiliated with. But it definitely is horrible on the part of the woman who was running this operation. And so we just have to see. We have to see what else comes out.
Like, aside from the obvious moral stuff, it's also to risk your organization's reputation and letters.
To risk the organization's reputation, to tarnish the reputation of the school. I mean, so many people. I mean, to ruin. So what I heard from you, and I don't know where you got this information, is that it came out because some interest or a girl who maybe recently crossed the organization. Suicide. Yeah.
Now again, this is all of this may be completely cut from future episodes, because it turns out she was just stealing financial aid money. You know what I'm saying? On some Howard shit.
Shout out to Howard.
HBCU's taking L's this last for a couple of weeks.
Not mine.
Excuse me. But the rumor is that the whistle, or that one of the key things that kind of made them move up this investigation was the fact that one of the girls attempted to commit suicide, and that kind of unraveled the whole I'm getting tired now. Unraveled the whole
thing. You just say thing.
But no, it was a better. I had a better thing.
Keep it simple, stupid.
I had a better thing there. Anyway, so yeah, man, that's messed up. My heart goes out to the victims. My heart goes out to the people who are not responsible for this incident, but are associated with the school and the sorority, and the families. They're not culpable. This is responsible. Man, don't correct me. I'm gonna hit your man.
Either way, yeah, it's we just have to stay tuned, and we will definitely apologize if none of this is real.
Yeah, this is all just social media gossip.
But my gut says, based on what the girl who I don't know, who was talking to a friend who I don't know, who shared text messages from somebody I don't know,
that's
it's
just
all
legit.
Factual. It's all factual, and that's how it works.
Right.
The world of social media.
So hopefully, it's mostly conjecture.
So, do you have one of those horrible? What do you call it?
I do, but I'm sleepy.
Look at God.
But because of our fans,
God,
I'm gonna fight through it. No, I'm not. I'm tired, y'all. I'm sorry.
Lord is blessing me.
So
right now,
we're gonna wrap it on up.
Right
this has been another episode of Married to Shade, y'all. I hope you all enjoyed the show. Check us out on Twitter at Married to Shade. Also, I'm at Feet Blurtman. You can check out the Black Astronauts Podcast Twitter at Black Astronaut Podcast. You can email us at blackastronautspodcast@gmail.com if you want to curse us out for some of the stuff we said about Beyonce.
Don't do it.
Or anything along those lines.
Don't do that. Never mind.
Yeah, just tell me after. I've
Cash,
never
y'all.
been this tired at the end of a show. So if I'm forgetting anything, charge it to the sleep bug. It's probably sinuses. I've been dealing with it for a couple of days. But with all that said, baby, I love you very much.
Love you too. Bye, y'all.
Peace.